Hello everyone. In this video session we are going to make a very brief summary of Unit 8, the Sinic Civilization, within the focus of the course Introduction to World Civilization. Before going through the summary of it, it will be a better idea to revise our learning outcomes for this unit. At the end of the unit, you will be able to understand the origin of the Sinic civilization. You will also be able to identify the religion of the Sinic civilization. At the end of the unit, you will be able to distinguish the civilizing society of the Sinic civilization. You will also be able to analyze the civilizing culture of the Sinic civilization. And at the end, you will be able to construct the timeline of the major events in the Sinic civilization. First of all, it's a better idea to utter a few words about the origin of the Sinic civilization. In fact, the ancient Chinese civilization was the core of Sinic civilization, with about 4,000 years long, and it's even practiced today with an updated culture and society. And to refer to this civilization, some scholars in the field use the term Sinic because they think that it is more accurate to refer to the common culture of China and Chinese communities in South Asia and elsewhere outside the China. In addition to the term Sinic, a term like Sinosphere is applied today as well. The sphere contains such countries like Taiwan, Korea, Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and formerly Japan. And even some countries like Malaysia and Indonesia even fought to discriminate themselves from the impact of this civilization. Secondly, the religion of the Sinic civilization is a valuable point to touch upon. We can say that the morals and values of the religion were too strong in Chinese society, and after the religious dominance of worshipping gods for more than about 1,000 years, Chinese themselves developed some quasi-religious systems such as Taoism, Confucianism, and Buddhism, and they are still practiced by a number of people today in the areas on which the Chinese culture is dominant. Although there are not clear-cut and well-defined boundaries among these quasi-religious systems, they have three teachings, and these teachings shape the Chinese culture. And throughout the history of the civilization, the emperors claimed the mandate of heaven, which briefly proposes that a ruler is allowed to rule the country and the civilization, and these emperors also practiced these quasi-religious system. And as for the civilizing society of the Sinic civilization, in general, we can say that the Chinese people were modest and wise, who were strongly influenced by their sages. And these sages always advised Chinese people to have a life in the middle ground. Like winning a war without a battle. And when we take a quick glance at the structure of the society, we can say that from the very initial years of the Chinese civilization, people were divided into four major classes by the governments, and they are called as landlords, peasants, craftsmen, and the merchants. And in Chinese society, another important point was that nothing was hereditary except the position of the emperor, and these were the major elements of the civilizing society of the Sinic civilization. For the culture of the Sinic civilization, in fact, one can say that Chinese culture is one of the most valuable assets to the world due to its unique and diverse structure in a blended harmony. And the main reason of this uniqueness, in fact, is its historical background, since it's one of the oldest civilization in the world, and its roots even go back to 4,000 and 5,000 years ago. And for this deep historical background, Chinese culture covers a wide range of geographical area in the east and south of Asia, with a variety of customs and traditions. And in these customs and traditions within the culture, the major elements include the ceramics, architecture, literature, cuisine, arts, and the philosophy. And To mention the timeline of the major events of the Sinic civilization, we can say that throughout its history, this civilization, the Sinic civilization, was ruled by almost 25 dynasties, and among them there were four famous kingdoms whose names were Shang, Hun, Ming, and Tang. And after the isolation of China with the self-destruction of a naval fleet led to the rules by foreign powers with the start of Opium Wars. And in early 19th century, the fall of Qing dynasty led to the formation of republic between 1912 and 1943. And after that period, a civil war broke out in China, and it ended the victory of the communism. And after that, communism became the dominant political governance in the Chinese civilization. And after that period, there occurred a war between China and Japan in 1937, and this caused the death of about 15 million of Chinese people. And finally, in 1978, China entered a modernization period based on the market economy in the 20th and 21st century. That was a very brief and quick look on the development of the Sinic civilization throughout the years. And in this video session, we can say that we touched upon the origin of Sinic civilization. We also uttered a few words regarding the religious systems throughout the Sinic civilization. We also had some cultural elements and some elements related with the society of the Sinic civilization, and we identified the timeline of the major events throughout the Sinic civilization. Of course, this session was just a summary, and it's a better idea to revise the book, to go through the content of the book, to get a better understanding of the unit about the Sinic civilization.